Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, buddies. Welcome to your channel Oracle Buddy. Today we will discuss about replenishment in MFCS Oracle Retail. The following topics will be covered in this chapter: introduction, replenishment, process flow, parameters, methods, additional functions, truck splitting, order rounding, data model and batch flow, investment buyer worksheet, and interview questionnaire. Let's begin with what is replenishment. Replenishment is an order for additional goods from warehouse or supplier with the purpose of to refill depleted stock in store and warehouse. Automated replenishment is a system that constantly monitors inventory condition and based on this condition create purchase order or transfer to fulfill consumer demand. The replenishment indicators are in system option, example purge days, order days, etc. Supplier scaling defaults for all items departments, supplier inventory management, review cycles, supplier minimums, etc. Item location, replenishment methods, supplier activate dates, item supplier origin country, lead time. So let's see a replenishment process flow. So we have system parameters, supplier parameters, and replenishment parameters set up in MFCS. And for all the sales, there will be a history, sales forecast, and stock value. So based on all these parameters, ROQ will be recommended order quantity will be calculated. So once the recommended order quantity is calculated, then scaling happens, and then based on what type of automation level is set up in MFCS, whether it is a manual, semi-automatic, or automatic or buyer worksheet. So for manual and semi-automatic, so transfers are created, and for based on this automation level, whether transfer or purchase order will be created. So let's talk about more about replenishment parameters. Item level replenishment parameters define how items are replenished in stores and warehouses, can be set at the location level or using location groups. So store class, district, region, promo zone, transfer zone, location trade, default warehouse, all stores, all warehouse, location list. So these are all the replenishment parameters. Replenishment attributes can be set at department, class, subclass, or item parent diff aggregate level as well as item and item list level. So let's discuss about the sourcing strategy. So if you see, there are three types of sourcing strategy. One is direct replenishment, one is cross-dock replenishment, and one is cross-linked. So if you see here, supplier is here, and warehouse is here, and stores are here. So in the direct and cross-docked and cross-linked, so supplier sends the good to warehouse, and from warehouse it goes to stores. Whereas the warehouse, the stock goes directly from the warehouse to store. Let's talk about difference between the warehouse stocked and cross stock versus cross link in detail. So warehouse stocked, the in the warehouse ensure the supply to the stores, but whenever the needs are higher than the stock the warehouse has, the replenishment do not create any PO to supply entirely the store needs. Next is cross stock. Normally, the warehouse do not have stock stored for the item setup within the replenishment category, and whenever the store needs to be supplied, it create a PO from the supplier to the warehouse and several transfers as much as stores from warehouse to each store. Crosslink, the warehouse ensure the supply to the stores, but whenever the needs are higher than the stock, the warehouse has the replenishment, create a PO and PO link transfer to supply entirely the store needs. So the cross link is a mix between warehouse stock and cross tech concepts. Let's talk about review cycle now at item location. It determines the frequency RMS replenishment consider inventory for reorder opportunities. It can be set as daily, weekly, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and to 14 weeks. Default values at supplier inventory management level. supplier, supplier department, or supplier department location. Review days. So based on the days also, we can set up replenishment. Like you can choose on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, which day you want to do the replenishment. Default values at supplier inventory management level is supplier or supplier department or supplier department location. If review cycle is too frequent, order can be too small and fail to achieve supplier minimums. Batch processing times become prohibitively long. So it can give a performance issue. If review cycle is too long, orders too infrequent, supply becomes unresponsive to fluctuating demand. Out of stock situation more frequent, inventory levels are higher. Let's talk about the lead time. Lead time, item supplier, number of days needed for the supplier to prepare the goods. Pickup lead time, number of days needed to deliver the goods from supplier to the location. And the warehouse lead time is the number of days required from the warehouse to prepare and deliver the goods to store. So here for direct to store. So if you see here, so the lead time is the warehouse with. So as we discussed, lead time is the number of days needed for the supplier to prepare the goods. So this lead time and pickup lead time is number of days needed to deliver the goods from supplier to the location. So for this direct to store, the lead time plus pickup lead time. So how much time it will take from here to store, from the supplier to store, is the lead time, the time which supplier needs to create the order, and from here to here the transport pickup lead time from supplier to store. So this plus this will be the final lead time. Similarly for cross-docked and cross-linked, so lead time, pickup lead time, it will send it to warehouse, and from the warehouse to store, which is warehouse lead time. So the total final lead time will be lead time plus pickup lead time plus warehouse lead time. For warehouse stocked, as there is no supplier involved, so it will have only the warehouse lead time. Location delivery schedule defines on what days supplier and warehouse will make deliveries. Default values at supplier inventory management level, supplier at supplier department level or supplier department location level. It is used to extend the minimum lead time to the next available delivery date. Location and company activity schedule determines when store and warehouse are closed. Stock take can happen public holidays or Sundays. So in this type of scenarios, store and warehouse can be closed. So we have to maintain the activity schedule so that the supplier doesn't ship the products on the day when the store is closed and no one is there to accept it. So lead time will be extended until next available day. So this is the screen for replenishment attributes window. So here you can see for each item and store item location level. So there is a stock category, activate and deactivate date, supplier site, and these all review cycle, method, primary replenishment pack. So all this information you can fill to create the replenishment attributes. So based on automation level, so as we already discussed, so we have these type of replenishment. One is manual, semi-automatic, automatic, and buyer worksheet. So in manual, so it reports over replenishment result table and create the manual, the user create the manual purchase orders based on the replenishment results. So next is semi-automatic. Semi-automatic is like the replenishment batches will create the orders, but it will be in worksheet status, and the transfers will be in submitted status, and the user will check the the worksheet status, purchase order, and submitted transfers, and then manually approve them. But in automatic one, so it is approved. The purchase orders are created in approved status by Ripple approved batch, and for transfer also it will be created approved ones. In buyer worksheet, so first ROQ revision in buyer worksheet. So once it gets the ROQ, so ROQ revision can happen in buyer worksheet, and then purchase order can be created. We'll discuss about the buyer worksheet in next slides. So let's talk about now replenishment methods. So there are two types of replenishment based on the sales forecast. So it is categorized into two parts. One is without sales forecast and with sales forecast. So let's discuss about without sales forecast. So there are three types of without sales forecast. One is constant, another is min max, and another is floating point. With sales forecast, we have time supply and dynamic. Others are store orders. It considers quantities requested from the store instead of calculating a order quantity. So first we will discuss constant type of replenishment. So inventory is ordered when stock falls below a user defined maximum. So it sells one, buy one. Does not consider demand trends, future forecast or seasonality. Effective for very slow or slow selling items ordered in multiples. Example, a television with a max SOH is 100. With a current SOH of 100, 10 TVs are sold. So new stock on hand is 10 minus 100 minus 10 is 90. So replenishment generates an ROQ of 10 TVs to bring back the stock on hand to 100. So 100 was the maximum stock maintained in the MFCS. So once it goes down from 100, so whatever remaining amount is there, so it will create a ROQ and the order will be generated. Next is min max. Users defines a maximum and minimum stock and order triggered when available inventory is less than minimum. Does not consider demand trends, future forecast or seasonality. Effective for very slow to slow selling items and item purchased in large multiples. Example, a pair of running shoes with maximum stock on hand is 6 and minimum stock on hand is 2. So current stock on hand is 6. Sells one pair, the new stock on hand is 6 minus 1, that is 5. So replenishment will not generate the ROQ because the order will be triggered when available inventory is less than minimum. So our minimum is 2 and maximum is 6. So until and unless the stock on hand is less than 2, so then only it will create the ROQ. So second example, we sell 4 pair. So now the new stock on hand is 5 minus 4, that is 1. So now replenishment generates a ROQ of 5 units of shoes. Floating point. When the inventory level falls below a system calculated maximum stock calculated from sales history from stores and issue histories from warehouse. Calculation based upon sales rate. Also consider user defined service level. Let's see an example. So current day, the suppose current stock on hand is 1862 and sales history from 12 weeks prior to this date. So this is 2500 and sales history 12 weeks after this date is 3000. So how much increase we got? 3000 minus 2500 divided by 3000, that is 0.16 or 16% in a year. There is a growth of 16% in the sales. So sales history 12 weeks prior to the current V date is suppose 1700. So how much additional we need? 1700 into 16, that is 272 units. So maximum stock on hand will be 1700 plus 272, that is 1972. So right now, what is our stock on hand? 1862. So replenishment will generate a ROQ of 1972 minus 1862, that is 110 units. There are few formulas for max, sales and ratio and cycle time. You can get the formulas here. Next is time supply, forecasted one. So this is stock oriented method, preferred method to prevent stock outs, not minimize inventory. Users specify min and maximum days of supply. Actual min and max calculated using forecasted data. A time supply horizon can optionally be specified in days. Increase time supply horizon to smooth out spikes. Decrease time supply horizon where available forecast days is less than max days of supply. A replenishment order is made when the net available inventory reaches the minimum days of supply and the order quantity placed is based on the rate of supply sale from forecasted sales over the specified period. So here if you can see current stock is 7. So minimum TS days are these and TS horizon is this one and TS max days are these. So rate of sale will be 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 10 plus 14 divided by 5, that is 7. So minimum will be 7 into 2 14 units and maximum will be 7 into 7 49. So as we have today we have stock of 7. So the ROQ will be created 49 minus 7 is that is 42 units. If we are not using TS horizon, so this will be the calculation. Next is dynamic type of replenishment. This is also service oriented method. Minimize stock on hand while preventing stock outs. Replenishes only quantity required between each replenishment cycle. Consider forecasted demand review and lead times and available inventory in calculation. For dynamic replenishment, also consider the following attributes while calculating ROQ. One is service level percentage of time stock satisfy demand. Determines the level of safety stock that is desired. Inventory selling days determines minimum size of order expressed in days supply. Lost sales factor allow any lost sales in the last replenishment period to be factored into the next replenishment period. Next is seasonal replenishment. Seasonal method available for the use of following replenishment method: time supply or dynamic. Replenishment calculation will occur with the defined season phase. Terminal stock on the hand quantity that is desired at the end of the season. Store orders. Applicable to stores only. Needed quantity and dates are requested by the store for each item. The needed quantity are used as the ROQ. The ROQ then is adjusted by the subsequent replenishment calculation like rounding, scaling, etc. And then based on that, purchase order is created. So it is basically the store is ordering some of the goods. Let's talk about additional function, net inventory calculation. So store available inventory will be on hand plus in transit plus expected plus on order plus inbound allocation minus any return to vendor, unavailable quantity or reserved stock. Similarly, warehouse available inventory will be on hand plus in transit plus expected plus on order minus RTV outbound allocation, unavailable inventory and reserved stock. Truck splitting. Purchase order can be split by truckload. Two methods are available for splitting items between truck. Item sequence. Builds order based on item number sequence, first building as many as full truckloads as possible for each time. Balance assortment attempts to assign some quantity of each item to each truck based on the initial item allocation. Truck splitting can be manual or automatic. Order rounding. Order rounding level and threshold are defined at the system level default. This can be overridden at item, supplier, country, and location level. Order rounding levels can be at case level, layer, pallet, case layer, pallet, case layer, and pallet. So you can set up the rounding level as these like case, layer, pallet, 25, 50, 75, and size of eaches. And based on that, order rounding will happen. So suppose ROQ is 752 eaches and like minimum or threshold is like 1000 eaches. Next is scenario 2 is like 657. So if you 657 units, so it doesn't reach pallet level. So it will round it off to 700 eaches. Replenishment related forms. So these are the forms for the replenishment related, just like this. To view any system replenishment parameter, this form is for view inventory management level at supplier or department level. Attribute.fmb is to edit or view replenishment attributes. Item subcountry. .fmb is to lead time associated with the primary supplier. Then virtual warehouse attributes are this stk wattr.fmb is for the virtual warehouse attributes. Replenishment.fmb is to view replenishment parameter history. So in the next slide, we will discuss about replenishment batch flows. So first one is the soupld.pc. So this process the store order request data from external flat file. The order quantity will be used at stores ROQ. Next is ripple size profile.pc. It synchronize RMS size profile table with data from ALC size profile table if allocation products are installed. Ripple attribute update. It maintains the replenishment attributes of item list. Relment.pc process replenishment attributes updates. Ripple adj.pc recalculates the maximum stock level for fashion or staple items with floating point of method of replenishment. reqext.pc calculates ROQ and creates transfer for replenishment of items from warehouse to stores. Ripple extpc calculates ROQ for replenishment for cross-docked items and direct-to-store categories. And Ripple build.pc, it build purchase order from ROQ. So you can see the dependency as well. So there are pre and post dependency. These batches should run in a sequence. Next is supcnstr.pc. It evaluates the created orders created by Ripple build and if necessary scales them based on to the supplier constraints. Ripple split, this will provide the truck splitting. Ripple approve, it will approve replenishment orders created during the batch with any vendor minimums. Ripple purge, it purge the Ripple results, store orders and IB, which is inventory by results tables depending on the system option value. And the last is Ripple athistprg.pc, which purges the Ripple attribute update history table depending on the system option. So this is how is the overall batch and whatever tables it is updating. So you can go through this slide. If you see Ripple attribute.pc takes data from Ripple attribute update item and update log, and then process it into Ripple day and Ripple item log. So similarly, Ripple batch also Ripple item log updates. It picks the data and process it into Ripple item log. Ripple adj.pc RUQFEST from which it is picking the data and which all tables it is inserting or updating. So these have all the details. You can go through this slide. Few more batches related to replenishment. You can see all the tables here, what is updating and how all the data is getting populated in each table. Few more batches. So next is replenishment data model. We will just so these are the replenishment related tables, and this is the explanation what these tables is about. So these are the important tables like Ripple day, Ripple item log, Ripple item log updates, store order, Ripple results, replenishment attribute update item, replenishment attribute update log, order time, system option, ORD, inventory management, then MC rejection table, RMS size profile, Ripple attribute update case table. So these are all the main tables related to replenishment. You can go through this and check in the data model to get more information. Let's talk about investment buy now. A process that allows retailer to take advantage of buying opportunity to take a current deal due to end or a cost price that will increase soon. Investment buy, inventory is purchased more cheaply but incurs additional storage costs, etc. as inventory will be stored for longer. The RMS investment buy module will automate calculation of the optimal time and quantity for investment buy. Generation of ROQ based on return of investment and inventory positions. So this is how our overall investment buy workflow is. Set parameters, execute investment buy, Review recommended order on buyer worksheet and generate purchase order. Few parameters related to IB. Look ahead days, storage cost, cost level, targeted rate of interest, annual cost of money, max peak supply, storage type, whether you are using warehouse or outside storage. Items to review. Investment buy will review items that have a cost change or deal and within the time frame if they are investment buy eligible. The time frame to review opportunities is non-replenishment items, look ahead days set by the user at the system level, and replenishment item at the same time of the replenishment orders. The system calculated the target days of supply to be investment purchased only applies for investment buys into the warehouse. Only cost or deal changes for the primary supplier of an item location will be considered for investment buy. Investment buy assumes forecast data is available in ORMS. Only forecasted items will be analyzed. So here is the calculation for cost of storage and cost of money and cost of ROI. And based on this, the investment buyer plans whether this item can be. So basically, it's an investment. Suppose any of the item which is going to like the cost for those items is going to shoot. So there is a planning team which take care checks like what will be the cost for storage and what is the rate of interest and all those, and then based on that they create an investment buy. So basically it is a type of investment. So these are the investment buy related forms. You can go through this. Few more forms which are used for investment buy. And these are the data flows. So this SUPLV MGT.FMV will update supplier inventory management table. This will update suppliers table. It will update item lock traits, ripple attribute, ripple item lock. So these are all the tables which are getting affected by these forms. Let's talk about investment by related batches. So IBEXPL.PC determine investment by eligibility for warehouse department and supplier department location. IBCalc.PC calculate investment by opportunities and write results in ROQ to the IB results table. Rippleball.pc build purchase order from the ROQ located on odd temp and the IB result tables. Ripplepurge.pc purges the tables Ripple results, store orders, and IB results. The next is the investment by batch data flow. If you see which all batches picks data from which tables and updates which tables, so you can go through the data flow, which all tables are called and which all tables are updated by which batch. So ibcalc.pc will put the final data in IB results, and from this IB result, ripplebuild.pc will get the data and create the purchase order, and it will update the IB results and insert the data into odd head, odd lock, and odd skew. Investment by data model. So these are the important tables used for investment by, like sub inventory management, triple item lock trade, subs, warehouse detail, EXPL, SIM, EXPL, IB results. So this is the main table from which our replenishment batch will pick the data. Next, discuss about buyer worksheet. It is a tool that can be used to review order quantity before creating a purchase order. ROQ can be created by replenishment process or via investment by process. It can also be manually generated in buyer worksheet online. It is possible to change costs and quantities on supplier availability, build orders from one or many sources. So it generates ROQ without compromising with any supplier. Split the ROQ by several suppliers before creating a purchase order. Change cost, price, and quantity based on the supplier's availability. Check and use ROQ generated by different sources. Example, automatic replenishment or IB. Combine several items in one or more requests. Combine several requests to several suppliers belonging to the same pool. So here you can see a flow diagram. So it sets the IB order control, set item order control, RMS investment by, RMS replenishment, investment by ROQ, replenishment ROQ, and manually ROQ. So it checks all the ROQs, and based on that, it will create a buyer worksheet. And once approved, it will create the purchase order. So these are the buyer worksheet related forms. So one is Ripple SLTTDFMB with to view replenishment results, buyer worksheet.fmb, edit and view automatic or manually generated ROQ quantities, manually build trucks, create purchase order and split changes supplier from buyer worksheet, and ordhead.fmb. Once the orders are created, it updates there. So this is the overall uh, data worksheet, buyer worksheet forms data flow. So from buyer worksheet.fmb, it enters into buyer worksheet manual IB results, and from Ripple SLTD.form, it updates the Ripple result, and based on these, it creates the PO and update into odd head, odd skew, and odd log. Buyer worksheet batch flow, there is no batch for buyer worksheet batch. Buyer worksheet data model. So these are the important tables. One is buyer worksheet manual, IB results, and replenishment results used for buyer worksheet. Let's talk about important interview questionnaires. So usually in the interviews, interviewer will ask difference between automatic and semi-automatic replenishment, explain min-max or time supply type of replenishment, how does outstanding PO plays into ROQ calculation, what is buyer worksheet, what is the use of investment by. Conclusion, replenishment is an order for additional goods from warehouse or supplier with the purpose to refill depleted stock in a store or warehouse. Retailers can set up automatic ordering of items using the setup screen present in the module within merchandising, which would allow the application to monitor the inventory position at location throughout a retail enterprise down to the item location levels and generate orders as and when required. Acknowledgement, we followed below documentation and blocks to create this content. Please go through these documentation and blocks as well. They have good information on all the MFCS modules. Thank you everyone for joining. Follow us on LinkedIn on the below link as well.